At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
From the office to a first date, there's a lot of pressure to wear the right clothes for every situation. But clothes don't make the man. With Mack Weldon, you can build a wardrobe that looks polished in any setting and tells the world that you stay you wherever you go. They combine timeless style with modern performance materials to keep you looking good and feeling comfortable all day, no matter what's on today's agenda. Browse everything from shorts and polos to sweats and crews. Go to MackWeldon.com and get 25% off your first order of $125 or more with promo code MACK25. That's MackWeldon.com. Promo code MACK25.
Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 205 of Hobby Quick Hits. Happy to be back, John Newman. We did something we rarely do. We missed a week of Hobby Quick Hits, but I have as good a reason as any. I was definitely under the weather, to the point where I didn't even realize till Sunday that, it was coming, and just really, I won't get into the gory details, pretty sick, and didn't do it. And you say, well, how come there was a Sports Card Nation on time? As many know, I pre-record a lot of my interviews and get them into the shoot and fired up. Otherwise, I probably would have missed that show, unfortunately, too. So we're back. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm not 100%, but closest I've been in a bit, and so we're back again. And the timing's probably good. Today's episode is going to pertain to SGC, what's going on, some recent decisions. I have a very close relationship with them, as some know, and so can give some insight and thoughts. I won't go into it too much here. We'll save that for the main topic of the show. But we're going to talk about SGC today, so don't go away.
Okay, now a quick word from our great sponsor, followed by the new product release schedule. Then we'll go around the Hobbyverse to tell you all the latest hobby happenings and news. Then we'll tackle today's topic of discussion.
Hi, this is Pat Hughes, Cubs announcer, coming to you from the Sports Card Shop in beautiful New Buffalo, Michigan. The Gocher family has built an incredible place here for collectors to buy, sell, and trade cards and memorabilia. Be sure to stop by and let them show you around. TheSportsCardShop.com, connecting sports, athletes, the hobby, and collectors around the world.
Hi, this is Alan Pinkett, and I'm here to tell you the Gocher family has done it again. They've just opened up the Sport Card Shop in downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, and it is awesome. If you're a collector, you need to check this place out. Tell them Alan sent you and get a free gift on your first visit.
All right, let's go over the new releases for the next couple weeks, folks, starting with June 25th. We've got 2025 Top Series 2 Baseball Megas. The following day on the 26th, 2024/25 Topps UEFA Club Competition's Finest Soccer. Moving to the 27th, 2025 Panini Score Football, as that licensing winds down. Same day, 2024/25 Panini Select Basketball H2, 2024/25 Panini Select Basketball Hobby Blasters, Pokemon Charizard EX Special Collection, Pokemon Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX. Also on the 27th, 2024, Topps Dynasty Baseball, high-end. But almost every product's high-end now. I don't know if we can say something's high-end anymore. The 27th, a lot of products here on the 27th. 2025, Top UFC, Chrome, Breakers Delight, Hobby, Blasters, and Megas. Let's go to July 2nd. 2025 Historic Autographs Big League Photos Autograph Edition Series 2 Baseball. 2025 Panini Donruss Racing. 2025 Panini Luminance Football. 2025 Pulse Stratos Baseball. 2024 Upper Deck Fleer Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Yep, Scooby-Doo cards on July 2nd from Upper Deck. July 2nd, 2024, 25 Upper Deck Premier Hockey. Again, July 2nd, 2024/25 Upper Deck O-Pee-Chee Platinum Hockey. July 4th, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Advanced Core. And we'll finish with July 7th with 2025 Panini Prism K-League Soccer. There's your releases over the next couple weeks. A lot coming out. A lot more will be coming out as we move closer to the National. And you know what I'm about to say. Choose your product. Happy ripping.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
And find out. All right, let's start in Memphis, Tennessee. A FedEx employee has been arrested for taking almost $7,000 worth of baseball cards. A box was delivered to its destination. Only one problem: the cards were gone. Obviously, that receiver of empty box filed a complaint, a report. The investigation led to a gentleman who allegedly took out the cards and then listed them on eBay. His name is out there. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to give even bad publicity. I don't want to give any attention to the perpetrator. Investigators also found that he allegedly also stole 4 gold bars and a diamond ring. So Mr. Unnamed facing charges and in trouble. Here in about 3 weeks, PSA will be launching their comic and magazine grading entity, so you can get your comics and magazines graded through PSA. Speaking of PSA, we know their relationship with GameStop and being able to submit your cards through GameStop. GameStop just recorded their first profitable quarter since 2019. And it was up 29%, or 29%. It was up 50%, but 29% was from their trading card part of their business. They also are going to do a...
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
Convertible senior note fundraising to raise about $2 billion, because they are going to expand their card range. So they're going to add more wax and boxes, and they're really going to go headlong into the sports and non-sports trading card space. And they have $5 billion in reserve. They're trying not to touch that, so they're going to raise this convertible senior notes, $2 billion to do that. But they also have that $5 billion in reserve. Might they buy PSA or become a public entity? with PSA, I don't know. Remains to be seen. Nat Turner was elected to GameStop's board of directors in November of 2024 as well. Fanatics Fest is ongoing as we speak. I am not there. Even though I'm from New York City, it's just, it's expensive and it looks fun. But right before the National, I'm getting revved up for the National. So no soup for you. No soup for me. Fanatics Fest, maybe someday. I don't really even have any FOMO. The older I get, man, I enjoy my weekends and grilling and having a few drinks and chilling out and spending time with family. But that's just me. I know a lot of people are there and enjoying it. Nothing wrong with that. Let's talk about the Connecticut Onus Wagner T206, which just ended at the time of this recording of the news. It just ended, and it did not end good. The final bid, which actually came in on June 18th. There was no bids past June 18th, so that would have been Thursday night, I believe, or Wednesday or Thursday night was the last bid, and it was at $3.7 million, well under the $7 million prediction that some had. And it had a reserve, and that reserve was not met. So that card will not be sold. The reserve was not met. So might we see it run again? I thought about it, man. No bids since June 18th, so Wednesday night. And how is that, or why is that? Is the did Fanatics Fest have anything to do with it? I don't think so. Did, the time revving up to the National or people saving their money? I don't know. That's obviously a card that a millionaire or even richer than that is going to buy, right? And so a trip or a upcoming show probably isn't going to be deterrent. Maybe the market in itself is kind of correcting on itself. So what happens now with that card, I don't know. That remains to be seen. I'm kind of interested to see, will they run it again with no reserve? Did the reserve, there's another thought, did the reserve scare people away potentially? Did people not know maybe how high that reserve is and didn't want to get into a bidding war and still fall short of the reserve or spend more than they wanted to? So no sale on this card at this point.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, guys, before we get into the meat and potatoes of my thoughts on SGC, I want, for the sake of full transparency, talk about what my relationship actually is with them. It's about, I was an SGC user before my relationship increased with them. In other words, I believed in them and liked them before, we had any sort of relationship. They became a sponsor of Sports Card Nation about 3+ years ago, and about 2+ years ago, I got to be a bulk subber for them, and that part was really almost by accident. My show promoter asked me if they would come to the show and take subs, knowing, he knew they were a sponsor of Sports Card Nation. And I said to him, they're not going to come to this size show. They don't do a lot of shows. They do, and when they do, they're the big ones. And so I explained to him that that's not really a possibility. He then followed up the next day and asked me, you think they'll let you take cards on their behalf as a bulk subber? And prior to that interaction, I had never thought about it. And then I thought about them. And so I said to him, number one, I don't know if I want to do that, but if I decide it's something I could do or want to do, then I have to get their permission. How do I go about it, and that sort of thing. So I said, give me a week. Like I thought about it for a day or two, and I'm like, yeah, I can add that to my repertoire. I'm already setting up at these shows. It would be another table. And so I contacted SGC. I know a lot of people there. And, asked them if this was a possibility and how did it work. And they said, give us a day and we'll get back to you. It shouldn't be a problem. We like you, John. We know you. Just more of we just got to make sure everything's good. So the next day I got a phone call. They're like, let's do this. Here's what you do. Here's what you need to know. The big rule was, hey, any show you're at, taking cards for SGC, make sure it's advertised as we're not on site. Sports Card Nation is taking bulk subs on behalf of SGC, not that SGC is there. So that's how it's always worded. So I started doing it, full transparency. The SGC table is provided free of charge because it's a draw, right? People come to the show to drop off their cards for bulk subbing at the shows. And what started with one show in Syracuse led to a monthly Watertown show that I now do as a bulk subber. And it started small, right? I was getting 100 cards, 120 cards, and then the momentum started to increase, and I was getting a good amount of cards, let's just say that. How does it work? Obviously, bulk subbers get a cheaper rate, right? They get a discounted rate, which allows them to charge pretty close to what SGC charges and make a few bucks and do all the legwork and catalog it. I film everything, I video every intake, so everything's on the up and up. I obviously have separate insurance, which covers my card life, right? You have homeowners, you have car insurance. I have sports card insurance. I actually have two policies. I have one that covers the stuff in my house, and I have one that's called a dealer policy, which covers everything mailed to and fro, anything at the show I'm set up, something happens at a show, I have coverage there as well. So I have two policies. Something to think about if you're in that realm and you don't, but not to be make a commercial there. So I've been doing it 2+ years, and it's been great. It's been fun. And about a month ago, right? We know about the acquisition, which was over 2 years now, where Collectors purchased SGC. They're under the same umbrella with PSA. And about a month ago, I saw some content. I think Baseball Collector Mike was the first to do it. I'm not sure, but one of the first to put out, like, hey, the end is near. Collectors is going to phase out SGC. Someone else piggybacked off his content and said, that's going to be much like when Adidas bought Reebok, and you hardly hear about Reebok now. When I heard that, I'm like, man, I can't see that. I think that's crazy. We all try that with our content, right? We all try to come up with a headline or a title that's catchy or garners attention. I'm like, well, maybe it's just a garner attention type of title. But people asked me that had heard that content as well, like that knew my relationship with SGC, and I'm like, hey, man, they just renewed sponsorship with me for the show. The people I've talked to haven't let on that this is a possibility. Now, in content creators' defense, right? No one from inside SGC is going to really spill the beans that, hey, they're going to close us, right? So the fact that everyone I speak to at SGC says, hey, business as usual, nothing to see here, that's kind of what you expect them to say, right? So, you got to be fair here in the reporting aspect of it. But I didn't see any sort of red flags that indicated that anything like that was going on. And I just think, from a personal feeling, SGC is number 2 on the grading scale in my book. I know CGC, when you factor in the TCG stuff, is number 2. But from a sports cards perspective, which is my main lane, SGC's number 2 and one of my favorites, right? I submit to 2 companies, SGC, PSA. I used to submit to Beckett for many years along with those 2, and I kind of stopped, I'd say I think I found an old invoice from 5 years ago. So the last Beckett sub that I personally did was 5 years ago. I don't root against them. I hope they figure things out and turn a corner or whatever it takes to compete in the space. But that, currently those are my 2 brands that I grade with. And obviously my relationship with SGC is different, being the sponsor of Sports Car Nation and a bulk subber form. But on June 11th, I got a phone call from my rep. I won't mention him by name, to protect his identity. And he's very solemn. And he says, John, I've got bad news. This is not our call. It's coming from above us, but there's no more bulk grading rates starting on June 20th. So they end on June 20th. So any orders, get them in. It stinks. We don't want to make this phone call. It's not fun. I'm just the messenger. And I could tell in his inflection and in his tone, he was really sad about it and very sincere. And it wasn't great news. Again, I don't make my living off being an SGC bulk subber, so it's not the same as like losing your job. But it's still, you get accustomed to doing everything for 2+ years and you get comfortable. And so it was an uncomfortable moment, and then I had a decision, right? Do I still be a bulk subber? Do I just raise the rates? Do I, stop being a bulk subber and that's the end of that? And I actually called a few of my big folks that sub a lot of cards with me. And I wanted to get their feedback. Hey, here's what's going on, just so you know, as someone who subs a lot of cards. What should I do? What do you think? How does this affect you? I'm thinking at this price level. And they're like, John, I'd still like to sub with you, but it costs me a little more for the convenience it is for me. You take care of everything. I'm not worried about that. If I send on my own, it's still going to be 50, 60, 70 bucks in shipping to and from charges. So that's a cost that would be added in if I did it myself. So, and then I figured out with the new price structure that I'm going to use, anyone that subs 20 or less cards, it's still going to be cheaper to use me even with the new price structure. So I'm still going to offer a cheaper alternative for those who sub 20 cards or less when you factor in they're not paying shipping to and from SGC. So I decided I'm going to continue to do it, obviously at a higher rate. I fully expect to get less and smaller subs. That's just the nature of the beast, and I'm okay with that. I obviously have to have a minimum amount of cards because I am paying the shipping to and fro, so I have to have a minimum, otherwise I'm going to lose money. Again, I never really did it for the money earning factor. It was a nice perk. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It was a nice perk, but I just explained to you how it sort of even happened by accident. It wasn't something I was even thinking of doing on my own. It was that show promoter asking me would I be interested in doing it. So it's more of a service I was providing that I enjoyed, that people enjoyed. And so I'm going to continue that, or at least try to continue that. Now, if I try and the subs go way down and it's not, I'm losing money, or, it's costing me more to do it than it's bringing in, then, I have to make a decision, right? Like, it's costing me $60 a show to do it out of my pocket, and I'm probably not going to do it. If it's costing me $10 or I'm making $10, then I'll probably do it. Again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But so for the foreseen future, I'm going to continue to do it. But it's a change. So the question I get: does this decision, is it foreboding of something else? Is this the first shoe to drop, and is SGC in trouble of being non-existent? My gut says no, but will there be changes? My gut says yes. I don't think this is the last shoe to drop. What those changes are, I don't know. I don't know. There's a rumor, it's already happened that, I do know this, turnaround times went from 10 days to 30 or plus 30 plus days. How did it happen? You look at the gem rate report, there's not a huge in some cases, there's less cards going to SGC. Why is it taking 3 times as long? So there's a rumor. Again, I don't have any substantial evidence to say this is factually true, but there's a rumor that PSA took some of SGC's better and high-rated graders and made them PSA graders, leaving the cupboard a little bit more bare, less graders on the grading floor. So in turn, turnaround times increased. Put yourself maybe in PSA shoes, right? Your service costs more and takes months and months and months to get cards back in people's hands. And here you have your little brother, right? SGC at 15, 16 bucks a piece, getting stuff back in 10 to 12 days when they were running at peak. It makes you look bad. Even though you're just under the same corporate umbrella, makes you look bad. So maybe a decision was made internally. Let's quit having our own company, make our number one company look bad. And so some things were plugged in and put in place to kind of even that out. If PSA was to get rid of SGC, CGC would just move right into that number 2 slot and then gain even more market share with SGC not taking away any kind of intake from them. So I think, if you ask me, again, I'm not in that room, I think it would be foolish for collectors to phase out SGC. But they own them. They can very well do that if they wanted to. And I don't know that they do or they don't want to. I hope they don't want to, from a selfish point of view, as a person who likes and has a relationship with SGC. I get asked, let's put the cart ahead of the horse and say it happens. SGC is phased out and no longer exists as a grading brand. What does that do to all our SGC slabs? I don't think it does a whole lot. Even if the brand doesn't exist anymore, I think they are such a known commodity that the value is what it is. While you might not be able to get any new cards graded, it's still SGC. And people who like SGC will buy SGC slabs. People who like SGC sub to SGC since they exist right now. And so I don't think if SGC went away, I don't think that changes anything that already exists. It obviously changes the terrain of future existence because they wouldn't exist anymore. But as far as slabs already graded, I don't think that's a major hit. I think they've built up enough street cred and hobby provenance that it won't affect those cards. My Jackie rookie, I have a lot of SGC graded cards already. My Jackie rookie's in an SGC slab. If that was to happen, it's going to stay in an SG slab. I'm not going to cross it over. SGC's a widely known hobby commodity. I don't think that changes anything that's already graded. That's my opinion. Someone else might beg to differ. Again, I hope that doesn't happen. I'm not predicting it as others have. I think there may be some changes, though. Maybe here's some thoughts. I'm not predicting these. I'm not even speculating. I'm just saying things that you could see besides SGC going defunct. Maybe you see them adopting the same uniform grading scale. Maybe you see collectors making SGC sort of their vintage grading hub, and PSA vintage and modern, ultra modern. Maybe you won't be able to grade a modern or ultra modern with an SGC brand. Again, I hope that doesn't happen, but maybe that kind of business decision is made. I don't know. No one knows except the people behind those closed doors. So be wary. That'll be kind of my, and who knows what else they might decide to do. They could do a lot of different things. I think there will be some decisions coming. What they are will remain to be seen. I'll close with this. Just like this content creation, right? Be wary of, these are people's opinions. This is my opinion. It doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's coming from the source. It's just, we try to put 2 plus 2 together and get to the 4. Sometimes we get to the 4 and we're right. Sometimes we get to 3 and we're wrong. So take what, any content creation you hear, it's interesting, it's curious, but until it comes from the source itself, it's speculation, right? And it's fun to speculate. That's what we do. I do it all the time. So keep that in mind. Keep it in perspective. So we're going to wrap it up there. Any questions, comments, thoughts? My door's always open. Reach out, but we'll see you next time. All right. Thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/sportscardnationpodcast/ Twitter, we are at sportscardnat1, so it's sportscard NATI1. Instagram at sportscardnationpodcast, or you can email the show hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.